All right, writing a book. I'm going to tell you 3 tips if you want to be able to get your book done really fast. 3 really quick tips. And I am Jackson, your platform partner, your hustling homie, and I am the one and only person who has a remedy to make you feel good every single day of the week. And I want to help you get in those goals that are the most important to your life. And this is about things I learned writing my first book series, and specifically my very first book, and what you can begin to do if you want to write your first book. But even if it's your second book, you can use some of this stuff. So one of the first things I would say is a lot of people want to write books, but they overthink it and they want it to be perfect. The first thing is there's no one right way to write a book. I want you to understand that. Just because you see a lot of other books and a lot of other genres, that doesn't mean your book has to be like theirs. It doesn't have to be perfect. I've seen people create a book like this is real talk. So I had a friend of mine, 2 friends. One friend was a female. She came to me and she said, "Jackson, I just wrote a book." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean you just wrote a book?" I talked to her for every day for like 90 days. Like, when did you start writing the book? She said, "Yeah, I wrote it in 3 days." I said, "Really?" So she showed me her book. It was 12 pages. It was a 12-page book. Each page was literally like 4 or 5 words on each page. And I looked at it and I said, this is amazing. Simply because she changed my mind on what a book really is nowadays. Because with her book was more of an artistic book, and it made me think like there's so many different types of mediums. Like, you got people that make coloring books, you got poetry books, you have so many different styles. There's not one way. So who makes the rule and says your book has to look exactly like everyone else, right? It doesn't. So I do encourage you though to look at other books that are in your industry. A lot of my books are about spirituality and business. So I looked at other books like that just as a reference, but I didn't feel like I was obligated to do it like that. And that's what helped me get my book done. You know, because you can do so many things. You can have a glossary, you can have your own dictionary in your book, you can have a bunch of stories in your book, you can have a book full of quotes. Like, you can flip it however you want to. It doesn't have to be the textbook like how everyone else tells you. So once you realize that, you can have much more freedom to just be able to play around. Like, I looked at it almost like I was creating a piece of art. You know, I even had pages where I was drawing pictures on. So, and to me that made the book even more valuable because they had a work of art as well as the information that I put in there. Shut Up and Hustle Part 1, by the way. Make sure you get that. Live your life of your dreams by thinking like an immigrant. So that was the first thing I learned. There was no one right way or wrong way to write a book. The second thing I learned that was very, very valuable is you have to put yourself in a creative space. You really have to do that. And some people would say just lock yourself in a room and, you know, and don't leave out until you write. Me personally, that doesn't work for me because I have to be in the mode. Like, I got to feel it. If I'm not feeling it, I can't do it. So what I did was I just dedicated an hour every day. I said I'm gonna take an hour every day. Now that hour wasn't the same hour every day. I tried to stick to the same time frame, but if I wasn't feeling it, I just said, okay, well, later on tonight. Some night 10 o'clock may be the hour today, or it may be 9 a.m. the hour that I do. So I just went by my mood, but I did do, you know, you can do things to create the mood. You know, you can do things like, whether it be drinking coffee, you can go for a walk, you could listen to other authors talk. Like, you guys gotta know what lights are in the dynamite and what inspires you. So put yourself around things that inspire you. And for me, it was as simple as getting up, going for a walk in my neighborhood, going and taking different paths, going down different roads, because then your mind's gonna think different type of thoughts. And then, you know, maybe have a little coffee just to really stimulate me, drink some water. You know, take a cold shower if needed, and then I'll just dedicate that 1 hour, because you put yourself on the clock where you don't get distracted for 1 hour, and boom, no distractions, and at the end of that hour, just stop. You can't continue. Eventually, after you do this about 6-7 times, you're going to get got into a routine where it's going to be pretty normal for you. So that's the second thing, is put yourself on the clock for 1 hour every day. All right, the third thing I'll say, this is the third thing for this video. However, I got an extended video I can do if you guys want me to go into it, where I can talk, because there's so much other things I learned. I can literally give you like over 10 different things, but I want to make this video kind of brief. And so the third thing I'll say, that I learned when really developing the book, I would say is get a team. Build a team around your book. Like, so many people think writing a book is just a one-person show. But again, remember point one when I said there's no one way to write a book? You can have a team. I kind of look at myself as not a book writer. I look at myself as a book coordinator, like a person that puts together the final product. Like, I'm a producer of the book. So that means sometimes I may find other authors, people who like to write a lot, and I'll collaborate with them. And I say, hey, this is the book that I'm interested in writing a topic about. I like your writings. I want you to contribute a little bit, and sometimes they may be a co-author. Sometimes they just may be a contributing writer. Or sometimes, you just may straight up and down and just say, hey, why don't you just be my editor for the book? I'll give you some of my thoughts and you edit it up, And so when you build a team, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because, if you look at the books that have the most, if you really are it depends on what you're trying to do. For me, I want my books to be a project that's going to inspire people to take action. So I'm not looking for people to look at me and say, oh, he's the best author, he's the best writer. I don't care about that. I want people to say, man, this book made me really take action, and it came from a real authentic source, and I can apply the stuff that's in this book, even if you're a non-reader. And so that's my brand and my goal. So I want to encourage you, this way you can put a team together, a team full of editors. You may have one editor, but you need an editor for your editor. You may need a book cover person, design person. You may need a team of friends or people. I recommend people, professionals, not your friends, to actually look over your book and just give you feedback. People who have different opinions. So maybe somebody who's a spiritual person, a business person, then an emotional person, then a very practical person, and have all of them give different opinions based on those different expectations that they have. But overall, man, those are the 3 things that I learned. I say they're very powerful, and I can keep on going with the list, but this video is already going too long, and it's time for you to get to writing. So write your first book, get to writing on that. If you really want to take the course and really take things to the next level, and you're tired of being frustrated, click on the links below. Join my course where we show you, how to just shut up and get that book done, and write your first book, or write your next book, and then also not just write it, but then sell it, publish it, and get it out there and grow your brand. So with that being said,
24 hours in a day,
y'all, and tune in.
24 ways to get paid. You get 24 hours.